but thank you guys both for that, all three of you, for that quick summary. Kelsey, we've gotten a number of questions about impact flashes. Were the same lunar impact flashes observed by both crew members in the observation pair, or did they independently observe the flashes? And were those flashes observed by automated cameras?
Science lady is excited. Yeah, the impact flashes are really exciting. We do think that some of the flashes were seen by multiple crew members. We are going through the analysis right now, and that analysis consists of all of the audio, not just the audio that you heard live, but the audio that they were recording actively at the time on their tablets, which will be released following the process Matthew just said. And they also took some really great annotations of where all four of them saw the flashes. And it's that data set in aggregate that is helping Jen Heldman and her team who's helping her think through this, kind of integrate this story. And then the vehicle cameras, our vehicle camera team, our science, the part of our science team who's focused on the vehicle cameras are actively going through it. As you might imagine, there's quite a lot to go through. So that is, I would say, our most active area of follow-up right now. And we're really hoping and pushing as hard as we can to get that out to the public much faster than October.
There's also a question on how lunar impact flash observations in science will be enhanced in future missions.
Yeah, it was really important to us on Artemis 2 to preserve time for those observations. I think we learned a lot about when in a flyby profile in terms of like illumination and shadowing is optimal for that. And I can tell you definitively that future lunar missions are pursuing the same amount of advocacy for increased time to look at these phenomena.
There's a question that says, for each Apollo mission, a preliminary science report was produced, containing one article per investigation, whatever. Is there a plan to produce similar reports for each of the Artemis missions? Matthew, you mentioned that there will be a preliminary science report for Artemis 2.
Yeah, we're planning on making that. Maybe I'll throw that back to Kelsey as to how we were planning on structuring that. I suspect that we'll cover all of our science inquiries in that one document, but Kelsey, I'll let you chime in on that.
Yeah, clearly Matthew and I are in sync. We're so in sync. We wore the same shirt today without even noticing it. Yeah, we do have, just to take it back to Matthew's talk, we have 4 things we're going to be releasing to the public: the data archive and the data users guide, and then 2 reports. This is not 2 reports. You think I would have that number down by now. 2 reports, one summarizing our ops, kind of what we did operationally, and then one, as kind of Sarah indicated with the question submitted by the audience, a preliminary mission science report that will have a section, as the questioner reference from Apollo, a section on each of our science themes, as well as some synthesis themes and some lessons learned. So the short answer is yes, definitely, and it will be out no later than mid-October.
We also have a question talking about whether these images are useful just for science, or whether there's any thought about how we can approach them from a more storytelling, inspirational approaches going forward. I wonder, Kelsey, if you want to talk a little bit about how you or the crew have been using these images for things other than science.
Yes, they have. I think it's I think the term Moonjoy is emblematic of so much, but some of it is the storytelling that the crew brought to both their time in mission and their time post splashdown. And the images literally tell that story, in addition to the beautiful words that all 4 of them uniquely provide to the experience and to the scientific observations as well. I would say on the science side, I'll reiterate again that it was never our intent to become a replacement for or a substitute for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter and any other lunar mission that provides incredible data sets that are so vital for the lunar community. But these images represent images that were taken by a crew member for a specific purpose at a specific angle tied to a specific science objective. So there's a lot of there's a lot of richness to this data set. Our team is really eager to get it to you guys as soon as possible. We also have this preliminary mission science report that in which the images will play a part. But we really want to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. We see what you guys can come up with, both from a science perspective and from a storytelling perspective.
Awesome. One of our major goals for Artemis 2 was is all the ways that we could use it to get ready for Artemis 4 and beyond. Can each of you talk a little bit about what your most important or favorite lessons learned was from Artemis 2 that we are feeding forward? Start with Kevin.
Sure. So yeah, one of the biggest lessons learned we had really has to do with how we develop hardware and systems in order to really be able to study the human physiology using organ chips and tissue chips in order to really get a feeling for how the crew will change and behave. This is really the first time that we had to actually miniaturize the system and adapt it to
Uh-oh. We've lost Kevin for a second.
On the edge of my seat.
No, it doesn't look like he's coming back. Maybe we will move on and see if Kevin unfreezes in a minute. Matthew, do you want to go?
Yeah. So, from my perspective, through the lens, particularly of the data and the software, we really treaded new ground in routing mission data, human spaceflight mission data to science teams in a very integrated fashion, right? We were able to get data from disparate sensed instruments on the vehicle and routing it through all of the channels and all the checks and balances of the internal workings of the human spaceflight enterprise to get it in the hands of scientists to do jobs. And so, I think we had a lot of firsts with this mission in establishing that new work environment, from the rooms that were built and deployed to the data that we were able to capture and the archiving processes that we were able to get going now, that I think all build towards capacity for future missions when there's only going to be more data, right? We're building for the expectation of more. And so getting Artemis 2 under our belt really got a lot of unknown unknowns visible so that we can work through and continue that building enterprise to activate the science team for human spaceflight. So I think that's what I'm most excited about from this mission.
Kelsey?
Yes. I want to just acknowledge what Matthew said. And, for those of you who do not, work within NASA and work within Artemis, it sounds easy, right? Get a bunch of data science cares a lot about and get it to scientists fast on a tactical time frame in which we can use it within a mission to inform what happens next. This was a multi-year effort of incredible hard work and creativity, not just from Matthew and his team, but from the human spaceflight side of the house, the vehicle side of the house, the flight ops side of the house. So it may sound simple. It was anything but simple. And what Matthew and his team did was nothing short of remarkable and will really pay off for this entire community moving forward. For me, thinking about when I got this job for Artemis 2, I really, some of us were reflecting yesterday about the experience, about what our expectations were for, ourselves going into the mission. And literally my first answer was, don't screw it up. Prove that science and lunar science has a place in exploring the body in which we have been trained to study our entire careers, and proving that, planetary science not only has a place, but it is an active add to the operation structure that we have seen be so successful over decades with the International Space Station and Space Shuttle. The payload operations group down at the Marshall Space Flight Center is incredibly amazing at science operations and ISS and science operations of Artemis 2 payloads. But we also really wanted to demonstrate that this structure for lunar science and geology and exploration science was robust. So the number of firsts we had, to build on Matthew's comment, comments, a science officer for the first time, a brand new back room in mission control, a brand new back room to support that back room in mission control, a science officer talking directly to the crew, not just at all, but during dynamic phases of flight. A lot of firsts that, as to Matthew's point, we're only going to continue to build on, and Barbara is going to talk to you a little bit about how we'll do that on Artemis 3. But I can tell you that this entire NASA team is fully committed to building on this success, and it was an incredible privilege to be able to take the first step here.
Thank you, Kelsey. Welcome back, Kevin. Did you want to finish up your thought? Sorry, we lost you.
Sure, VPN decided it didn't like me. We learned a lot. We really learned after being in LEO for so many years. We learned how to get back out beyond LEO and into deep space to conduct life science experiments. And the hardware that we used really had to be miniaturized and changed because we only had battery power. So we had to learn how to use battery power. What are the major safety concerns? Because we're now no longer in a massive International Space Station, but in a small capsule. And so what was really wonderful was how much all the groups, Orion, safety, Artemis, all got together with our engineering team and our science team to really figure out how do we make this safe? How do we use the lessons learned that we've had from Challenger and Columbia and turn that into a piece of hardware that was extremely safe. So when it went to safety, it passed quickly. So that's really the lessons learned is how do you make it safe? How do you make it small, and how do we make it work so that you get the science back that you want? And again, the crew is very generous with their time and their work.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for this was a great session.